Hey there, what's up? My name is Ryan. In this video, we're looking at the game BitterSweet. Now in BitterSweet, you were looking at a box of chocolates, and the goal of the game is to draft the ones and keep the ones that you like and get rid of the ones you don't like. Now before I talk too much about things I like and don't like about the game, let me show you how it works. I'm not going to go over every single rule here, but I'm going to show you the basics of how it works. Every player will take one of these player boards here. Now we also have a giant stack of chocolates, we'll be saying up here in just a second. Now the chocolates can vary in a lot of different ways. They can be different shapes, they can have different coatings, different fillings. You'll notice in the player boards it has little reminders of every single attribute the chocolate's going to have. Every player is going to have a small stack of their cards, so they'll shuffle together and then randomly flip over one card into their yum and one card into their yuck. These cards tell you which chocolates will score you bonus points. So for example, your yum, what you want to collect, creamy in this case, will give you bonus points so you can collect at least 3 chocolates with the creamy attribute. You see right here, here are some creamy chocolates. And this player does not, their yuck, they do not want to collect heart-shaped chocolates. So this chocolate would be worth possibly negative points for them. We'll go ahead and do that for the other player real quick here too. They actually want to collect heart and they don't want to collect sphere shaped. Now notice you can flip over shapes, you can flip over textures, coatings, or others. Really anything could happen here. It just kind of gives you your focus for that round. Okay, let's move these out of the way and we'll set up the chocolates. Now here's my giant stack of tons of chocolates. Player count will determine how many you set out. I'm going to set up here for a 2-player game. It is so cool to look out here, and this looks like a box of chocolates. Every single one of these are going to be unique. You can see from the cards I didn't use, some will be different shapes, different fillings. There are some wild ones. There's even some bad ones out there. I'm going to set the player 1 board right here just so you can kind of see how a turn will work. Let's say this player chooses to flip over this chocolate and reveal it. Now they can see what this is. It's a sphere-shaped chocolate that's worth 3 points that has white coating and also a creamy texture. Now this player actually wants a creamy texture, so their second action they can choose to now take that card. Now their turn would be over since you only have 2 actions on your turn. But let's say the player is feeling lucky and wanted to really take a little riskier. Instead of flipping over the card first, they directly drafted it into their hand. Without showing the other players, they would actually then look at this card. And what's important is that the card has any text here that says if taken face down, which is what I just did. I just took this card face down. I have to do whatever it says. In this case, it actually says discard your yum and replace it with a random card. Now in this case, that worked out pretty well for me, but this could be really bad for you if this happened late in the game and you had acquired like 5 yum cards, then all of a sudden one of the cards says to discard your yum. So taking cards face down can be risky, but it can lead to more points because this is only one action. For this player's second action, they could go ahead and take another card face down. And look at that, it's a negative point card, and then also you have to swap your yum and your yucks. Okay, so let's say the player after this player goes and they flip over this one, they choose to take it. Now after the other player goes, we're back to player 1 again here, and on their turn they can do 3 things. They can reveal another chocolate just like before. They can also directly draft the chocolate to their hand. They can also return one to the box. There are a couple of rules to go along with that, but basically return it face down where only this player would know what it is. You see the other players wouldn't know if they're returning it just because maybe it's their yuck, but it could be another player's yum to collect cards, or maybe they're returning it gets a -1. No one is quite sure why, but they're going to return that to the box. Alright, fast forward to later on in the game, you can have a few reveal ones out here. Let's say this player on their turn takes this right here. This says on reveal you may take any chocolate. If you do, return a chocolate to the box. So let's say they take this one right here since it's worth 2 points, and they choose to return this one right here to the box. Okay, so players will go back and forth like that until either 1 of 3 things happen. Each player has returned 3 things to the box. You can read more about that in the rulebook, which is a way to add that up. But basically, once you return things to the box too many times, the round can end. The round can also end if all the chocolates are taken or if all the chocolates are face up at the end of your turn. So for example, let's say this player is going, this is the only thing left here. They could choose to take this as their first action. And let's say for their last action, they're going to draw this card right here. It doesn't have their yum, but it also doesn't have their yuck, so it doesn't hurt them. They're going to take this. So now all chocolates are revealed. The game now ends and you add up points. The first thing you want to do in adding up points is simply add up the number total you see up here. This is a question mark, so we'll come back to that one in a second. So right now we have 13 points. This special says get an additional point for each unique chocolate shape we have. So we have our pyramid, we have our heart, we have a trapezoid, and we have a sphere. So actually we have all 4 unique shapes. That card is worth 4 points. So now we're up to 17. Then the last thing you do is you look at your yum and your yuck, and you get positive points for yum and negative points for yuck. Our yum is this symbol right here, so we're going to scan our cards for that, and we have 2 of those. We also have a wild that says it may take on any attribute of our choice. So let's say obviously our wild, we want to match more of that. So let's say our wild also is that symbol. That gives us 3 total. It says if you have 3, that's 6 points, which brings our total up now to 23 points. And then we have to subtract anything for our yuck. So our yuck are hearts. We have 2 heart-shaped chocolates right here. And so it says 2 is -4. So we're back down to 19. So the final score of the round is 19. All right, so that's how the game works. Let's jump into a few things I like about it. First of all, clearly it looks great. Not only does the box look good, you take this box outside the table, it's like pretty small, but it looks good. The cover is really cute. It looks like a box of chocolate. There's someone dipping chocolate on the front cover. But then when you open it up and start taking the cards out, it looks really good on the table. You get it set up in that grid that looks like you just opened a box of chocolates. And just like when you open a box of chocolates, you're always like, I wonder if that one has strawberry in it. I wonder if that one has this in it. It has that feeling that everyone gets their player cards, and the player cards are great. As you saw in the video a little bit there, they all are really uniquely colored, but remind you of some kind of chocolate you might really like. Everyone gets the card they want, the card they don't want, the type of chocolate they don't want. And then the game is just the whole idea. The theme is great. You're just going to be flipping over chocolates, and you can choose to keep them, you choose to get rid of them, but the theme is just great. The theme works really well. I mean, who doesn't want to play this theme? Another thing I like about the game is that the rounds are pretty short and snappy. No round is going to take too long, but I enjoyed that you had to win 2 rounds to win the game. So at first I thought, okay, maybe the game was too short, and they just kind of slapped on, okay, win 2 so it takes longer. But actually, once I played the game, I really understood it. There is a push your luck element to this game where the player who maybe directly draws to their hand, right to the hand, has a higher chance of winning maybe, but they also have a higher chance of things going really wrong for them. You could draft some really bad cards that really mess up your hand, or you could draft and not like it, take a whole turn and throw away that. The next turn you draft again, you don't have that card, so your second action is throwing it away. So things could go really good for you, or things could go really bad for you. So let's say I win the first round. I'm going to be thinking, okay, second round I'm going to be a little more conservative because I already won 1. Everyone else still has to win 2. But the other players might be thinking, well, he won the first round, so we have to start directly drafting to our hand. And again, try your luck a little more. The odds that there's, let's say, 3 other players doing that, the odds of one of them winning by that strategy goes up quite a bit. So anyways, it adds that one last little aspect in your decision making, the fact that you have to win 2 rounds. You might win the first, might win the second. You might have times where you want to push a little more. You might have times you want to play a little more conservatively. And as far as the length goes, it's a great short length. This is a good filler game that you could take out and like get done, play in maybe 20, 30 minutes, and it's fun. It looks good, gives you some good decision, but it's not going to just stay on the table for an hour or 2. It can't really sprawl out into this huge game. So I think it keeps the pacing really good, and the overall length of play is a great length. And it's always worth mentioning when this happens, this is a game that will have some cards you flip over and you have to read the text and do what the text says. There's also the rule book. All those things are very well written and they're very clear. It's nice. Also, the rule book is pretty clear. You just kind of read through the rule book. You have a great understanding of what you're supposed to do, which cannot be said about every single game as we know. So rule book is clear. There's quite a few cards you have to read during the game, which is part of the fun part of the game. But they're also clear. So it's pretty simple. You flip it over, it says, take another action. Or if this is your first action, do this. Great job. Okay, so as far as things I don't like, there's actually not much I don't like about this game. Maybe you could say it's a little lucky, but it doesn't really bother me at this length. If a game stays short, it's a fun, short filler. It looks great. It's really enjoyable to play. Gives you a few decisions. It is on the lucky side, but again, it doesn't bother me. If it was a 2-hour game, that would bother me. It would really frustrate me if I played a 2-hour game and I felt like someone could just direct draft and they got lucky and they beat me. There was nothing I could do about this. You'll have rounds of this game where you lose and there's really nothing you could have done. There is that degree of luck in there, but it's not really going to bother me. At least it doesn't bother me. Maybe it bothers you. It doesn't bother me in a 20-minute game. It just seems fun. There are some good decisions given to you in a short amount of time, but just so you know, it's a little on the lucky side. And since I do a lot of solo plays on the channel, I will mention I think the solo mode for this one was great. I definitely view this as more of a 2 to 4 player game because a little bit of interaction you have of where the other player's collecting and throwing away kind of goes away in solo mode. So I didn't find solo mode that interesting. Okay, so recommendations. In case it wasn't already obvious, I think this really hits the spot on a 20 or 30 minute game. It looks great. You want a short game that you bring out, maybe again like a filler where you want to start another game soon, but some people are finishing up over there, or maybe you only have a half hour to play a game. it looks great. You want those games to look good so you can take them out and you immediately can tell from the theme it's going to be cute, it's going to be fun, it's going to be approachable. So you want it to look like that. It also really does a good job of, it looks like a box of chocolates and that's what you're doing in the game. You're drafting chocolate. So it just really fits that vibe. It gives you some meaningful decisions. So it's a game where even though it's short, you're not just randomly flipping over cards and doing actions. You actually have some decisions. You can say, okay, I think I should push it. I think if I get one more of those triangle chocolates, I can get this next level bonus. So it's worth the direct draft here, even though maybe I won't do that next time because I have the quota I need for those chocolates. So it gives you some decision. It also works really well for a family game in that I play it with kids. It's pretty easy. The set collection, you want triangles, you want the clusters. I didn't mention earlier, but these player cards do a great job of serving a little purpose of where your yum and your yuck goes, but also just shows you all the symbols right there, which is just, it seems obvious, but it doesn't happen enough. This is such a good little player card where you just, anything you want to reference, right there. They're all your shapes, all your textures, all your coatings, everything you want is right there. So it makes the set collection pretty easy because you can just, the kids see their yum card, oh, I need trapezoids, and they can get the ones that are trapezoids. I like also in a family context that gives you player interaction. There are some cards that affect other players sometimes, but it's not a mean card game. It's not a game where people are just going to draw cards and get really mad at everyone and argue about a lot of stuff and why are being mean to me. It keeps it pretty light, keeps it pretty fun. So clearly by this point in the video, you know if you're only interested in medium or heavy, big, complicated games that are intense, have a lot of resource collections, have tons of difficult decisions, take an hour or two, this is not that game. This is more the short, fun, fast filler with a really fun theme that most people will sit down and have a great experience with right away. Alright, so that's my review of BitterSweet, a game that I really enjoyed. I'll definitely be keeping around playing it more often. I also recently reviewed another game by the same designer, Matthew Hawker, called Composition, so if you want to check that one out, there's a link right there. And of course, if you found the video helpful, hitting that like button down below really helps the channel out. See ya.